Welcome to Walkie Show. So this is another episode. After that, so we can continue. So welcome to Walkie Show. Now Walkie Show is accessible on YouTube as Walkie Shorts and Walkie Show in a show. Remember. So not only that, what we have planned today is all about the silent song, where this is how we have planned. We want to be done with the silent song because we need to keep up with our time. So because as you can see with the projects which we have, we need to prepare our food for special groups. We need to prepare boiled banana, so and we need to visit such houses like bungalows, such houses. That's why we need to be done by one thing so we can continue with the other thing which is accessible. That's why on this episode, which is now access, we want to be done with the silent song. So after that, now on the next episode, we will be on preparing boiled banana. So stay tuned. We'll be starting with the first episode, with the first silent song episode. So remember, the silent song is written by Leonard Kibera in Kenya. So let's get into it. Only few parts remaining. 13 parts of silent song, and we are going to be done with them. Alright, let's begin with the part 1. Slowly the youth group toward the door of the hut. He crawled weakly on his knees and elbows. The pain in his spine and stomach rapidly gathered violence. Suddenly, sharp pangs from his navel tore into his body, and for one short, tormenting moment, he was paralyzed. Then the pain disappeared. It vanished with the same savage fury of its onslaught, left him cold with sweat, left no other mark really, as if it had never been there, but he knew it had only recoiled for another attack. Once more he gave up fight, let go his chin and hit his forehead on the dirt of the flea-ridden floor. He did not know what time it was, but he was hungry. Not that time ever mattered. In the gloom of his eternal night, such things as time, day, or beauty had no meaning. Flat and almost imperceptible, they were for him impossible, and lay beyond the bitter limits of darkness. His crowd only responded to what he could feel and hear and ran away from. Alright, part 2. For it seemed to burn now as he slammed his youth in honor under the weight of closing death, that his short life had been one of retreat. Crawling away on his lameness, he tackled the world around him negatively and never hit back. He thought about his new life away from the street of the city. His brother, a preacher, had picked him up there, bringing him to his heart, which felt so serene, yet so suspicious. It was not just the lack of urban regardlessness and noise, or the lack of quick footsteps of busy people pressing away filthy to business he was never understood, but who would occasionally answer his plea to keep him alive with a troop of copper in his heart. It was not just the feel of air and wind whistling through the trees around the new confinement. Part 3. He could never tell there was meaning in his brother's silence of late, something strange and yet perhaps well-intentioned in his voice when he spoke. He could tell it too when his brother rapidly said, "I rescued you from the barbaric city so that you can see the light of God." Somehow, however, he did recall the city with a kind of nostalgia. Not that He really knew it. In fact, he had earned his living and one street family retiring to the back lane where the street became deserted. But the street had come to mean his life. It is true that he could not tell how long, how wide, how beautiful, how big it was. These were things which would not matter. He had become used to the talk and bright weather, lovely morning or beautiful sunset, small talk which he could never share. Part 4. Pedestrians would sing to the blue sky, whistle to the gay morning as their footsteps sang their way down the pavement, and this would taunt him. Still, he would be happy, for it was the gay people who mostly answered him his plea. He had come to know how money was the essence of urban life. Dull people, heavy, tired footsteps and voices betrayed anxiety, empty pockets. He had come to know through what day and night meant to hit them. When the sun poured its heat too generously upon him and the fleece glowed along the edges of his lips, good men and women spent their time walking inside the building next to him and many more up the street. It would be a dead night when the sun withdrew, he knew not where. To yield to the street to hostile cold, he would then steal into the back lane unsheltered but undisturbed, to surrender his vulnerability to sleep and occasionally the bestest of thieves. Part 5. From somewhere at the top of the building, the night would burst alive with drums beating strange rhythms that tempted him. Voices would sing, bottles would crack, and men would curse. This he knew should not worry him. It was only the voices of the good men and women turned drunk in the refuge of the night brothel after a hard day's work. It was also the turn of hymns and whose glow to smile their way into the good man's pocket after a hard day rest, scratching one's other's faces in the process. He knew why they were considered so bad. The good men and women woke up when the sun's warm rays pushed out of his back lane the recluant cold and drowned the horse, and fumes went to their own beds. So what? Part 6. In a way, he thought of the men with that curiosity and envy of the ignorant. He remembered having once asked his brother how old he was. He had been told 14. For all he knew, Barney could not be much older. He could not tell. Did it matter? But his brother must have been married around his own age, and yet himself around never be able to reach out his hands in fulfillment of his life in the same way. He could only yearn impatiently beyond the reach of darkness and lameness. At such times, when bitter self-pity overcame him, he thought of his own light, and then he would smile broadly and bravely. Take this medicine. It was his brother's wife, Sarah, breaking into the heart. Slowly and tenderly, he raised his head and put the cup to his mouth. We continue another part. The bitter fluid exploded down his throat, and another attack of the pain tore through his stomach. You will be all right soon, Sarah said. God will be good to you. He knew she did not hold out much hope for him. She withdrew after laying him on the bed to which he had tried to accustom him since being rescued from the hard pavement. Heavier footsteps told him that his brother Ezekiel had come in. He sat on his bed. No one spoke for a long time. He himself could not be expected to start a conversation. All his life he had been speaking to himself in his thoughts, and for a long time on the street anyone except for the mechanical plea of yes. He had no one to address but himself. Now, if anyone spoke to him, he could only carry the subject on a lane and communicative of a lane of communicative thought in his own mind. Another part, Barney would believe in God. Ezekiel asked. He saw no reason why his brother should ask him this. He only answered to himself, I don't think it matters. He remembered their religious mother, who was now long dead. She used to say that all men were one stream, one flow through the rocks of life, twisting and turning the pebbles. They would get dirty in the muddy earth. They cried in the falls and wild pools of life, laughed and sang when the floors was smooth and starved, and while some cried and wailed in the potholes of Life Valley. Others laughed elsewhere, but it seemed to Mbane that he was only crying. He was not even part of the stream, whose waters branched out into a narrow valley toward the heavily pool. Another part, he was not even flowing down the wide gulf into the eternal dialogue and chaos of Satan's burning sea. No, he was like the bitter liquid in his own throat, not the good water. He saw no reason why he should believe in God. God gives us everything. He had often heard, but did he? God is white cleanliness and eternal light. But what was that cleanliness? What did light mean to a blind man? Did not his life contain a darkness, a blackness no one would understand? Did the Christmas morning procession of good men and women in the city mean anything more to him than that of generous in yesterday's mean men involved meaning more money for his heart? Another part, as they sang and whistled the carol of Hallelujah down the morning street, as they got drunk and cursed at one another earlier than usual, he left. He did not belong, and then had forgotten him, but had they ever remembered or ever actually noticed him? True, they would pray for him as a matter of course and drop him a coin, but instead of bringing the knowledge of Christ to him, much as he wished that he should be left alone, some good Christian men and women would once again call him a bald-bodied and only crippled more every day by the idleness of leisurely begging. He could tell this too in the way the authority in the city handled him. It sometimes surprised him that the big vehicle which emptied the dustbin had never swept him away in the Russia snows, and yet Mbani was convinced it was a glorious thing to believe, to cling, to dream of a future. Another part, it was glorious, this feeling that far, far away beyond the pangs and of darkness lay light, bigger and more meaningful than that which his eyes were denied. There something would understand and raise their innocence of his crippled life along the chosen. It gave him hope, and he sang in his own happy song silently to himself, secretly to the passer-by. Let him his face appear discernible, yet this happy thought filled his time. It was his refuge at night too, as they found theirs in the brothel above him. Is so like the letters which they dropped in the pillar box, which he sometimes made the mistake of learning against had a destination. Often as he sat there on the pavement, he wished for his journey and he wished that his soul were free-flowing everywhere and not incriminated in a body which smelt and sweet, and washed expect in rain, and which he could but feel. Another part, Bani, I ask you to, do you believe in God? It was Ezekiel again, and I said, I don't know. He answered weakly, no, you did not. You only lay there sobbing. He lay there knowing another attack was coming. Bani, I want Christ to save you. Do you know where sinners go when they die? Do you know where those who are saved go? Was once a man called Jesus. Yes, I know. Mbane swallowed painfully. That is why you brought me here, and do you accept him? I do not know, but I know see the light. I now see the light. I have often thought about in my own way. You are worse than Judas. Ezekiel hissed in suppressed anger. The last part is, will you never stop thinking about your God even in your day? In this hour, I want you to be baptized. He had become more calm now, and he smiled distantly. Ezekiel was so it was hopeless to go on. Still, he would never give his brother to the devil. Bane, will you not follow the way of good men and women? His strength won first. There was no pain, only weakness. Then his head jerked down to the bed. Ezekiel bent down and touched the cold forehead with a shaking hand. He is gone, he said aloud to himself. Yes, he is gone, Sarah whispered, and he was smiling, he said, looking around at his wife. Yes, he was smiling. So after I've read this silent song, so not much that I have understand about the story, but reading it one again and again, I have seen that there's someone who didn't believe in Jesus, in God. If God, what do people say? If God is true, do people believe in God or not? That's what the Silent Song talks about. And to get more stories on the Silent Song books, we have an awesome man with awesome power, Incident in the Park, Ninema, A Silent Song, Ivory Bangles, The Sins of the Fathers, The Truly Married Woman, Talking Man, Ghost, God Sees the Truth But With the Neighborhood Watch, December, Boyi, Checkmate, and the last one is Grocery. So that's all on the Silent Song. Thank you for giving me your time. Remember to subscribe to Walkie Show and like to Walkie Show. My name is Francine. Let's meet on the next episode. I will be preparing boiled bananas. Let's see if this will be another day. This is season 2, and Walkie Show has only 5 seasons, and each season represents 10 episodes. And this is another episode on season 2. Please don't forget to watch World Kids Show shorts. Remember, just go on YouTube, click search, write World Kids Show, and you'll be given everything that is concerned here. So bye bye for now.